Hello everybody and welcome to Miss Cashin's Rockin' Reviews. Alright, these first two questions may look very similar. It's because they were on our last 6 weeks review. However, they're actually more important for this common assessment than they were for the last common assessment. So I'm going to go through them one more time again so we know how to solve these when these problems come up. So, the first problem says, which proportion can be used to show that the slope of PR, right here, P to R, is equal to the slope of R to T. So we now know that slope, no matter what triangles are drawn on that line, the slope is never changing, and therefore I know that the two parts are going to have to equal to each other. Now there's two ways of solving this. The first one would be to get your coordinate points of P, coordinate points of R, and then coordinate points of R, and coordinate points of T. Then you would want to see which one of these equations sets them up correctly using the equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's the first way. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So if I look carefully, P's coordinate points are -7, 7. R's coordinate points are -4, 3. I'm going to write R one more time since it's being used again. And then T's coordinate points are 2, -5. All right, so if you think back to what we learned about this equation, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, we have to think back that every ordered pair is going to have one x and one y. Now, since P is my first point, I'm going to go ahead and label this x1, y1. The next point is going to be x2, y2. If I then look over here at my first part, they're going to be comparing the PR, which is these 2 points, P, R. So y2 would be 3 minus y1 would be 7. So it would be 3 minus 7. So far, this is correct. 3 minus 7 is not what this is saying. They are saying that it is y2 minus x2. Now, we always know that it is y2 minus y1, so I'm already going to be able to cancel out b. The next one is showing me -4 minus -7. So if I look here, -4 minus -7, they're comparing the x values, which should be on your denominator, not your numerator. Therefore, C is also incorrect. And this last one is saying -4 minus -3. But I don't see a -3 anywhere, so they must have gotten their coordinate point wrong, and therefore that one is also wrong, leaving our answer choice with A. Now, another way that we can double check this is with our calculators. So I'm going to go ahead and open the screen. I'm going to go to calculate. So what I'm going to enter in here is a fraction. I'm going to just copy everything that I see. So 3 minus 7 on my numerator, -4 minus -7 on my denominator. I'm going to go ahead and add those parentheses in there, just like they're telling me. Then I have this equal sign here. If I press this equal sign, it won't give me an answer. It'll let me make a statement, and the calculator will tell me, is it true or is it false? So that's what I'm going for. Then I'm going to make another fraction, so control and divide. -5 minus 3. Your denominator says 2 minus parentheses -4. Close parentheses. Parentheses are over here. Now I'm going to hit enter, and this says true. So not only did I get it with points, I also confirmed it on the calculator, which is another method. So I definitely know that A is my answer choice for that one. Okay, so question 2 is talking about triangle DEF and triangle GHI are similar right triangles. So we got that right there. So again, like question 1, I know if it's asking me anything about the slope of that line, I know the slope is the same thing just because the line does not move. How slanted that line is the same. So I'm going to make a note to myself that the slope stays the same. All right, so now let's look at our answer choices. So it is saying which of the statements is true. The relationship between the slope of the hypotenuse, now we also know that hypotenuse means across of the right angle, so this line right here and across of the right angle, so this line right here. So I do know that they're talking about the slope indeed. Of the little triangle and the slope of the hypotenuse of the big triangle cannot be determined. Now I know that's false because if I really wanted to, I could get my rise and I could get my run and I could figure out the slope. So A is incorrect. B says the slope of the hypotenuse of the triangle, of the small triangle, is greater than, and I'm noticing these next three sentences are the same, less than or equal to the slope of the hypotenuse of the big triangle. Now I already wrote a memo to myself knowing that the slope stays the same no matter what because it's the same line, so the only one that is saying something similar to that is D. So D is going to be your correct answer. All right, question 3. Let me move this. All right. So question 3 is asking which statement is true. So the first thing I see is a triangle and I'm seeing degrees. Now it's not a 90-degree angle, so it's not talking about Pythagorean. So, and it's saying that the answer choices are in some kind of degrees. So I know that I'm going to need to recall my facts about degrees and triangles and straight lines because there's also a straight line over here. So I know that the amount of degrees in a triangle is 180 degrees. So to figure out angle W, I'm first going to have to figure out angle K. Then I know there's a straight line here, which is also 180 degrees. And then with that, I can figure out W. So first of all, I'm going to figure out what angle K is. So I know that a triangle is 180 degrees. I have 2 of the missing sides, so I'm going to go ahead and add those up. So 54 plus 34 is 88. So I'm going to do 180 minus 88, and that will give me 92. So I know that this angle right here is angle K. Angle K is 92 degrees. So now I know that angle K is 92 degrees, so I can figure out angle W. So again, I know a straight line is 180 degrees. I know part of that is 92, so I'm going to subtract the 92 from 180. And 180 minus 92 gives you 88. Therefore, if I look at my answer choices, there's only one that tells me 88. Let's see if the reasoning makes sense. Because 180 minus 53 plus 45 equals 92. That's what we got as well, just in a different way, but we also got 92. And 180 minus the 92 is 88. So B is my correct answer choice. All right, question 4. Question 4 is talking about a dance studio opens with 130 members. Each month, the membership increases by 5 students. Which equation can be used to find Y, the total members in the dance studio, if X represents the number of months the studio has been opened? So I'm seeing that my answer choices are equations. So I'm going to go back to my problem, and I'm going to circle my numbers and box my magical words. Remember, your magical words are per, every, and each. Acronym is P. So, going ahead and circling the numbers. Each is my magical word. 5 and increases. So I know it's going to be adding. That's another important word. All right, so if I think about this problem, my magical word, each. Now I know 130 is closer to that magical word, but it's not saying that that is changing. I know that the thing that's changing is 5 students. So 5 is going to be the magical word and the number that are related to each other. So I know that I need a variable for this because it has my magical word. This tells me my slope, which is going to be the mx part. So I know the 130 is going to be my plus b part. Remember, we have y equals mx plus b. So my slope is 5, so I know this is going to have to be 5x. My y-intercept is b, so that's going to be 130. The only one that looks exactly like that is D. All right, question 5. Which one of the following situations represents a non-proportional relationship? So I already know non-proportional, 2 words. So that means that we have 2 parts, which means I'm going to have an mx and a plus b. These are my 2 parts. So let's go through these. The cost of a shirt for $5.25 each, with a coupon of $2.70 off the total cost. So this would be 5.25x minus, because it's a coupon, $2.70. So that looks good so far. The cost of a pair of shoes for $75 per pair, plus a shipping fee of $5 per pair. Now I'm already noticing there's 2 per, so that's different than the first sentence. This one would be 75x plus 5x, and because they're similar, I could add them up to be 80x. The cost of a watch for $23 each, with a delivery charge of $6.50 per watch. Again, each and per, there's 2 magical words here. So this would be 23x plus 650x, because you're having to pay per watch and per delivery charge. So this would add up to 29.5x. Again, these are proportional, both of them. The cost of baseballs for 30 cents each, plus $1 for every keepsake box. So again, we have that 30x plus 1x, and it would simplify to 130x. So these 3 are proportional. This first one has a y-intercept, meaning it is non-proportional. So A would be the right answer. So question 6. The equation y equals 1.7x plus 13 can be used to find y, the number of points, if x is the number of players. Which statement correctly describes the statement? So 2 of my answer choices are saying it is proportional. 2 of them are saying it is not proportional. So I know 2 parts means it is 2 words. So it should be non-proportional. So I can already eliminate A and C right off the bat because it's saying it is proportional. So B says the equation is not proportional because a y-intercept of 13. So if I check, it does have a y-intercept of 13, and that is what makes it non-proportional, because that's what makes it not go through the origin. The equation is not proportional because the graph has a positive slope. So I know that a non-proportional relationship can have a y-intercept and can have a negative slope. So that's not always true. So therefore, D is incorrect, and B would be your right answer. Question 7. An isosceles right triangle that has legs that are 18 meters long. What is the approximate measure of the hypotenuse? So it already tells me I'm going to be looking for my hypotenuse. I'm going to identify my right angle over here, which means that my hypotenuse is that one. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my equation. I know I'm going to need to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I know a and b are here. Your hypotenuse is always c. So it's going to be 18 squared plus 18 squared is c squared. I'm going to use my calculator. So 18 squared plus 18 squared, we have 648. So does it make sense if this is 18 and this is 18 Skittles, that this is 600 Skittles? Not quite. There's still that one step that I need to get, which is the square root of that number. So I'm going to find the square root of 648, and that answer is 25.46 rounded. So the right answer would be C. Next question also looks like a Pythagorean question, just because I can already see a right angle over here. Based on this information, what is the length of the base of this triangle? So over here, when I draw my arrow, it is pointing at my hypotenuse. So I know that I need to use the other Pythagorean equation where I find one of the sides. So I'm going to use c squared minus a squared is equal to b squared. So again, just fill in your numbers and replace those letters. Your hypotenuse is always going to be c. So we have 32 squared minus 14 squared is going to give us our answer, b squared. So again, using your calculator, 32 squared minus 14 squared gives you an answer of 828. But remember, your hypotenuse 1 has to be your longest side, so 828 cannot be our answer. Plus, that sounds unreasonable. If this is 32, this is 14, there's no way this is 828. It should ring a bell that you have one more step, which is your square root. So that would give you 28.78 because there's a 5. So if you see which answer is closest to that, it would be D. It's the only correct answer. Our graph over here says, what are the slope and the y-intercept of Miss Cashin's graph? So she is saving money. This is the amount of money, and these are the times. So I'm going to go ahead. I see a graph, so I'm going to write my 4 steps. First of all, I need 2 good points. Second, I'm going to find my rise. Third, my run. And fourth, my y-intercept. So let's start with these 2 good points. So it looks like all of these are good points. So I'm just going to pick the first 2 to help myself out. All right, so there, first step done. Second step is to find my rise. So I'm going up, so I'm actually rising, so that's going to be a positive number. Now I am noticing something different on the side. I'm noticing that we are not counting by 1s, we're counting by 10s, but if I look carefully, every single box is actually representing 5. So it's counting by 5s. So if I go up 1 box, rather than saying 1, I'm going up 5. So my rise is 5. My run is 1 box to the right. I'm running in the right direction, so it's going to be a positive number. And here we're counting from 1 to 2, so that's counting by 1s. So my run is going to be 1. Make this a fraction. Rise, 5 over run, 1. 5 divided by 1 is still 5. So here I can already see that 2 of my answer choices are incorrect, so I'm going to cross out A and B. Now look back at your graph to find your y-intercept, where your line crosses the y-axis. So here it is over here, so we have a y-intercept of 30. So clearly not -6, so C would be your correct answer. All right, question 10 is asking which equation best represents the graph. So there are 2 ways of solving this problem. The first problem, sorry, I'm trying to find my other sheet big. All right, the first way of solving this problem is to look at the easiest thing to find, which is your y-intercept. So it looks like your y-intercept is between -4 and -6. So it's right here in the middle, so that would give me -5. However, if I look at my answer choices, that's not really helping me out because all of them are -5. The next thing I can do to help me out is draw Mr. Slope. So remember, if it goes up, it is a positive slope. If it goes down, it is a negative slope. So this line goes down, so I know my slope is going to be negative. So all the ones that have a positive slope, I can eliminate. So that's B and C. Now I could do 2 things. I could find my 2 good points. I could find my rise and my run. I could also, in my graph, on my calculator, graph both of them and check which one looks most like it. So -3x minus 5. Remember, if the negative sign is in front of the x, it is a negative. If it is after the x, it is a minus. That's really important to know when we're graphing. So this is what the first equation looks like that I graph. Looks pretty similar. And the other one would be -1/3x minus 5. So right away I can see that one of them definitely looks like my graph and the other one does not. So it looks like my answer is going to be A. Just to make sure, I'm just going to get my 2 good points. So -5 would be 1 good point. And then, kind of hard to tell with this graph, but this would be right in the middle. So that would be 1. So this would be another good point. So my rise would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm actually going up, so that's a positive number. And my run is going to be 1, 2, but I'm running in the left direction, therefore that number is going to be negative. So write that as a fraction. Rise over run. 6 divided by negative 2 would give you negative 3. So negative 3 is your slope, which also is correct in this equation. Question 11. All right, I'm seeing numbers that I'm going to need to order. First thing I need to check for is what kind of order. This is descending. Remember, descending, decreasing. So I'm going from greatest to least. All right, then the next thing I'm already going to set up is a number line because I know I'm going to need that. Now, I don't like fractions, I don't like percents, so I'm going to use my calculator to go ahead and convert all of those to decimals. So we have negative 2 over 3. Remember, Control Enter gives you that decimal, so negative 0.4. Then we have negative 25. Your percent sign is going to be in this little booklet under the 4th tab. So here we go, percent. So this is negative 0.25. 45% is going to be 0.45. Square root of 2 is 1.41. And then we already have negative 1.2. It might be beneficial to count how many numbers you have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That way I know on my number line I'm going to need 5 numbers. So I'm going to start with my 0 because that's a good reference point. Now I see that I only have 2 positive numbers, so I'm going to go ahead and graph those first. So they're going to be to the right of my 0. So I have the 0.45, which is smaller than 1.45. Remember to write it in the original form because that's how your answer choices are. So that's what that's going to look like. Then going into our negative numbers, so I can write a negative 1 if I need to for reference. So I know that negative 1.2 is going to be even more negative than negative 1. So negative 1.2 is going to be right here. And then this might trick me up a little bit. So if I think about it, which one of those is closer to 0? And that number would be the negative 0.25. Therefore, it is negative 25%. And then the other one is a little bit bigger, and that would be negative 2 over 5. So if I look, this is my order. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. Perfect. So let's look at our answer choices. It looks like there's only one that actually starts with this number. So our answer choice is easy. It's going to be B. And we've now come to our final problem of this study guide. So remember, when we have similar shapes, first thing we want to do is we want to make shapes that are similar around each of the sides that are similar. So the W is the point of the little house that I see here. So is the C. So I'm going to circle the W. I'm going to circle the C. And I'm going to need to use a little bit of imagination because this one's flipped upside down. So the X right here, I'm going to put a box around it. So if this one was flipped around, the one that would be to the right of it would be the letter D. And then I'm going to keep going around in a circle. So I'm going to underline the Y. So I'm going to underline the E. I'm going to put a POW around Z. So I'm going to put a POW around A. And then finally V, I'm going to put a little star. So B, also a little star. This is going to help me to keep my similar letters together. So remember, side is going to be a really skinny one. So that's going to be the long part. And shape is going to be the really long one. So it's going to look like that. So remember, these are similar sides. These are similar shapes. So first of all, is this in a similar side right here? So A and AB and DE, are they similar sides? Well, I already know they're in the same shape. which should be across of each other. So I can already say that A is wrong. So B, are these 4 letters in the same shape because they're across? Yes, they are. Are these bottom letters in the same shape? Yes, they are. So now I can go on and compare my sides. So is W, X, so from circle to box, similar to CD, circle to box, so yes. Is Y, Z, underlined to POW, the same as EA, underlined to POW, so yes, so far this one is 100% correct. This next one, similar shape, that is incorrect because I have WX and I have EA, they're different shapes, so this one is incorrect. And then we have D. So D is saying that CB is similar to the shape CD, so they are all in the same shape, so that's good. And then ZW and WX are in the same shape, so we're good there too. So now we can compare our sides. So AB, which is POW star, is that similar to ZW, which is POW circle? So does that make sense? No, because it was POW star, and it is also not POW star. So this D is incorrect. So the last answer is B. All right, so I hope you guys got something out of watching this video. Hopefully it helped you prepare for your 6 weeks test, and I wish every single one of you the best of luck. Y'all got this.